Okay, where's this Kraus guy? Ushiromiya Kinzo, the aged family head of the Ushiromiya head family. This man can be seen in his study. The clock had already passed noon, but he didn't even attempt to rise from his seat. With his spectacles on, he built up a growing pile of books with elaborate bindings, which he then read intently. You couldn't really say that he was having too much fun to stop. Rather, he filled the room with a sense of impatience, or perhaps a sense of impending danger, so every second wasted was a tragedy. In this sealed room, a dense dust danced through the air, which was thick with the stench of chemicals that exuded a mix of suspicious odors. Those odors were somehow sweet and heavy. If anyone with a normal nose came in here, the first thing they'd do would be to open a window and ventilate this room. The knocking against the study door had been going on for a while. A voice calling, "Father," sometimes mingled with the knocks. As Kinzo heaved a deep sigh, he snapped shut the old book in his hands and slammed down the table. Then he yelled at Kraus, who was still knocking on the door.
Silence!
Okay, I'm just looking at it. One sec, there's something about his outfit. I don't know, I'll wait, I'll comment later.
Enough of that racket, you fool! Who told you the door would be opened if you but knocked? I'll crucify the imbecile. Do you wish to suffer the same fate?
Father, this is the day of the family conference, which happens only once a year, is it not? Everyone's gathered down below. Please, come out. Kraus called out to his father through the door. Kinzo always shut himself up in the study, hating it when nearly anyone, even his family, entered the room. For that reason, Kraus had no choice but to call to him from the corridor like this.
Molest me not! Just who is this everyone of which you speak? Do you mean the fools trying to drag me out of here? Then kill them all! Tear them apart, use their bodies for firewood, and feed them into the witch's hearth. Put a pot in that hearth to boil the wormwood. Force the imbeciles who dare try to lure me out of here to drink the broth of the apocalypse. Apocalypse. I will soak their dregs in liquor. Where's Genji? Call for Genji. Have my demonic absinthe prepared. Whisperings of the Green Fairy reaches me no longer. Where's Genji? Bring him here!
On the other side of the door, Kraus, Nanjo, and Genji kept waiting for the master of the house, who stubbornly refused to come out. Looks like he hates me to the core. My voice doesn't reach him anymore. Kraus shrugged as though he was saying it's no use and smiled bitterly. From the beginning, he hadn't really expected his father to respond to his calls. However, since it was the duty of the eldest son, he had tried as a formality.
Kinzo-san, your sons, daughters, and grandchildren have come to see you, have they not? Could you just let them see your face, if only for a short while?
Shut up! Be silent! You dare to admonish me, Nanjo? I never told anyone to get you. I told them to get Genji. Now call for him immediately. Time is short and the apostles are already readying their trumpets, so I get you foolish sheep understand.
Kinzo slammed an old heavy book against the table over and over. That racket clearly expressed his great displeasure. Kinzo put his spectacles down and flew up from his chair. He spread his arms wide open as if to sing to a packed opera house, as if appealing to someone, and yelled,
Why? Why is there always something in my way? I would throw it all away. I would offer up everything. And there's only one thing I ask in repayment. Oh, Beatrice, if I could see her smile but one more time, I would plunder the smiles of the earth and offer them all up to you. Oh, commanders of the legions of locusts, reap the smiles of the earth. Everything is filthy. Everything is irksome. Why must I suffer this impediment on this most precious of days? Call for Genji!
I have no idea what he's yelling about. He's probably lost his mind by now.
Kraus-san, isn't it a bit harsh to say such things of your own father?
My father is already dead. There's nothing here but a phantom of what father once was. At any rate, as long as he has no intention of coming out, there's nothing we can do.
Kinzo-san.
Choking coughs continued to pour from the study. I'm going back downstairs. It would be a waste to let the fruits of Goda's prized cooking talent get any colder.
It's one of the few things our relatives can look forward to when they come to this house.
Kraus spun around. He looked at his watch, mumbling and acting as though he had wasted time doing something he knew would be in vain.
Genji-san, Father is calling for you. Keep him company.
Certainly.
Dr. Nanjo, let's go eat. If we stay here any longer, the sweet stench will ruin our sense of taste.
Without waiting for Nanjo, Kraus went downstairs. Genji urged Nanjo to go and eat. Nanjo glanced between the study door and Kraus's back as the latter disappeared down the stairs and let out a deep sigh.
Sorry, Genji-san, but please allow me to leave this in your hands.
Yes, please, leave it to me.
Do what you can to avoid giving him alcohol. That's a habit that's far too difficult to break.
Is Genji not here yet? Who dares keep Genji from coming? Ah, where's Genji? Call for Genji!
Please, allow me to handle the situation here.
Very well. Forgive me.
Nanjo bowed slightly and descended the stairs. Genji watched him leave, then knocked on the study door. Master, it is Genji.
Genji! Why have you kept me waiting so long? You're alone, I trust?
Correct. I am alone. Kinzo returned to his seat in the study and pressed an old-fashioned switch on the table. After a small delay, the heavy sound of the door unlocking could be heard. Kinzo was convinced that his family wanted to make a mess of his study. Or perhaps someone had once opened the window for some air and ended up scattering things that to him were important research materials, leaving him in a terrible mood. Kinzo had outfitted his room with a formidable lock, preventing anyone from entering without his permission, and thereby sealing himself in a jail of his own making. Genji, whom he trusted the most, was relatively free to enter the room, but even that didn't always hold. If Kinzo was in a bad mood, even Genji wouldn't be able to enter. Anyone else would be limited to holding a conversation through the door, unable even to see Kinzo's face. And most of the time, what they got could hardly be called a conversation. However, this didn't trouble the rest of the family much. After all, it just wasn't worth the effort to disturb this aging family head, who was impossible to please and always stayed shut away, immersed in his research. Taking advantage of his refusal to leave his room, they supported his isolation, putting his care entirely in the hands of the servants.
Genji, my usual. I'm busy.
Yes, sir. Genji headed to the corner of the study. There, suspicious-looking bottles boasting venomous colors were on display. They were actually liquor, but considering the shady atmosphere of this room, one might easily suspect them of being some ghastly poison. Inside the study, the mysterious collection of books gathered by Kinzo had grown into a mountain. They were bizarre, ancient, or banned books, all of them either forbidden, cursed, or sealed. But if you tried to call them old books, Kinzo would fly into a rage and say,
Call them grimoires.
there were also many mysterious objects that presumably held some meaning with regards to black magic, like candles suspiciously melted and molded into strange shapes. The constellations drawn on certain celestial globe contained quite a few shapes that would draw puzzled looks from anyone familiar with today's night sky. The carelessly strewn about books contained many illustrations, all of them of a religious or mysterious nature, including some depicting demonically grotesque subjects or bizarre diagrams of various magic circles. And above all, a sweet poisonous smell filled the room, profoundly assaulting the eyes and noses of those who entered for the first time. Eventually, it must surely make a person go numb and lose their grip on reality. Inside that study, Genji prepared Kinzo's usual drink with a well-trained hand. No one would even think of drinking such an ominous dark green liquid in that complex and ornate glass, unless someone first told them it was alcohol. He poured a little into the glass, then placed a cube of sugar in a strangely shaped spoon and poured water from a pitcher over it. Strangely, when the transparent water was poured, the dark green liquid turned into a cloudy white. It was a strange optical illusion, so the water had caused a chemical reaction and made the drink become even more unrecognizable as liquor. Then Genji added original flavors Kinzo loved, fine-tuning its taste. There was no recipe. Its success was measured only by Kinzo's mood swings when he drank it, and it had taken Genji many decades to learn how to do it right. Genji placed the glass on a tray and walked over to Kinzo. By this time, Kinzo was gazing out the window. Here, master.
Thank you.
Kinzo had regained his composure and was now unrecognizable as the shouting, screaming, yelling man from a few moments ago. Looking at this man from behind as he tilted his glass and gazed down at the scenery beyond the window, he projected a sense of dignity and intelligence. To allow Kinzo to set his glass down at any time, Genji motionlessly waited behind Kinzo and to his left, as though he were a living sideboard. Then, without averting his eyes from the window, Kinzo held out his glass. There was only a mouthful remaining. It was not a gesture intended to set it upon a tray, but a motion to hand the glass over to Genji.
Drink, my friend.
Your words are too kind for me.
No need for ceremony between us. Drink, my friend.
Thank you. Genji respectfully received the glass and inclined it a little to taste its contents. After that, he gulped it down. I attempted to imitate your concoction, but no matter how hard I try... Who's speaking right now? Okay, that was Kinzo, okay. Well, he tried to replicate it, he couldn't do it. Genji, woo, okay. Thank you very much. It is the fruit of your guidance, master. Kinzo smiled at his loyal subject, who refused to put aside rank even when asked to. That's a smile? However, he was not making fun of him. His smile was relaxed, as though chuckling at a close friend's old unshakable habit.
We've grown old together. I stopped counting the years long ago. It is entirely thanks to
you, master, that I've been able to live like this until today. Kinzo gave a faint smile as if to say he didn't need any flattery.
Until now, you have served me exceedingly well. My sons call me eccentric. The servants that were once many have all quit in fear of me. Only you serve me, even now.
Your words are more than I deserve.
My life will not last much longer. My sons are vultures, lazily waiting for my inheritance to fall into their hands. Kraus is a fool, who squanders money like water, who throws away 2 gold coins to obtain 1. And then he has the gall to claim he's earned money. Ava is a slave to money, who thinks of me as a mere chicken. When I die, she plans to use my bones to make a broth. That dunce Rudolph just wants to fool around with women. Rosa bore the baby of a man who came from nowhere and about whom we know nothing. Jessica's incompetent and uneducated. George has none of what it takes to be a man. Battler's a fool, threw away the honor of the Ushiromiya family. And Maria's obscene to the eye. Why is the Ushiromiya blood so incompetent? Is there no one worthy to inherit the glory I built? Of course I know this is part of Beatrice's curse. I know it! You golden witch, are you trying to take revenge against me in this way? If you want to hate me, then do so. If you want to run away, then run. I won't let you go. I won't let you go. Won't let you go. Won't let you go. You belong to me. You must always be in my arms. For all my life. You must stay in my birdcage for all eternity, whispering only to me. Beatrice, why won't you smile back at me? Beatrice!
Oh shit. I leaned back so far I fucking fell off screen. After howling, Kinzo choked once again. Genji set the tray and glass down and rubbed his master's back. Genji's facial expression did not change. It was always like this.
Thank you, my friend.
When his seemingly deranged fit subsided, Kinzo regained his composure once again. It was like seeing 2 different people, a wild Kinzo and a composed Kinzo, living together inside one body. And so... I didn't realize there was someone speaking.
I've decided. I cannot bear to spend my dimmed remaining years procrastinating like this. I have one final coin to bet, and I choose to abandon it to the whims of the demon's roulette. The power of magic is always determined by the risk of the gamble. Like visiting a shrine at the hour of the ox in ancient Japanese sorcery to nail a cursed doll to a tree. Magical power is produced specifically because of the risk that it will be seen with the 7 days the curse takes. The greater the risk, the stronger the magic power will be. Many miracles that happen in myth might be called the crystallization of shocking magic power, with a low probability of occurrence and astronomical risk. That Moses parted the waters of the sea was not a miracle of God. The risk of that desperate situation, cornered by soldiers on the Red Sea shores, weighed upon the scales of slaughtering, and gave birth to that miraculous magic power. If the same thing occurred again on the same scale, the sea would surely fail to part. After all, Moses was able to magnificently summon a miracle engraved on but one of the countless, innumerable results on the roulette of those with power. This is the force that can triumph over astronomical odds. Indeed, good fortune that can grasp miracles is magical power itself. To obtain this mighty power, one must face the risk of despair. Those who possess no magical power may call that desperation rather than a bet. However, people who truly do possess magic power can grasp hold of that miracle and make the enigma come into being. And if that power exists within me, I'll seize that miracle. I'll have a chance at making the wish I've devoted my life towards come true.
Kinzo looked up to the sky outside the window. He spread his arms as if appealing to someone up in the skies.
If only I were capable of grasping that miracle!
Beatrice. Beatrice. Show me your lovely smile once more. No matter how much time passes, your face does not vanish. I just want to see your smile. That is all. I'll return everything you granted me. I'll return all the glory I've gained since that day. I don't need fortune, prestige, or gold.
I'll return everything you gave me. I just want to see your smile. I beg you, Beatrice.
His nonsensical yells became a scream, and then a wail. Kinzo slumped to the floor, tearing at it with both hands. Genji had no choice but to wordlessly watch over his master's lamentations. Damn. Alrighty then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the family head's health is not at its best. He seemed extremely sad not to be able to share lunch with you all now that you have gathered for this event that occurs but once a year. Goda, let the lunch begin.
Certainly. I shall begin today's luncheon.
Dr. Nanjo, is father's condition really that bad? Couldn't he have at least let us see his face?
It's more of a problem of mood than a physical condition. And for that, there is no medicine I can prescribe. Hey, we talking about his mood again? You've got to be kidding me. We took him out of our schedules during this damn busy autumn season just to come and find out how he's doing. And now he's... and you should be happy about it, Rudolph. You now know how he's doing. Or what? Would you rather take my place and try to persuade our ill-humored father to come join us? Are you kidding? Rudolph shrugged. Apparently, though Rudolph was willing to be indignant at how self-centered his father was, he wasn't particularly disappointed to be spared a face-to-face meeting.
Does it seem like his mood will improve before dinner, Krasny-san?
I have no idea. If you want to know that, you should ask him directly. Although I think his mood will improve faster if we don't bother him.
Genji-san's the only one who can get grandfather out of a funk. It's pretty pathetic, though, making the servants deal with your own parents' bad mood.
Jessica, don't speak out of turn.
She'd planned for her complaint to be heard only by her cousins, but it had reached even Krause's ears. Scolded, Jessica scowled and turned away sulking. He's as cranky as they make him sound. He can't be that terribly sick, right? I mean, they're saying he's in a bad mood, not that he's got no energy, which at least proves he's got his wits about him. And it's because grandfather has especially strong willpower. However, that doesn't necessarily mean his body will be able to keep up. Since last year, they keep saying that he has 3 months to live left. If the initial diagnosis is correct, grandfather's been prolonging his life by willpower alone. And it's right for us to worry about him. Lunch started with the family head's seat still empty. The man who should be sitting there had already grown old, and the brilliant glory which had rebuilt the Ushiromiya family in the span of a single lifetime was being forgotten. Even though they were beginning the meal with that seat still empty, no one felt it was that odd anymore. Oh. God damn it, again with this shit. You keep breaking the glass. Keep making me think something big's about to happen. I mean, I'm sure, but... The Ushirome Family Conference was held once every year, on the first weekend of October. If a normal family were to hold a so-called family conference, you'd expect it to be nothing more than a reunion of rarely seen relatives who greet each other around buckets of sushi or something. However, part of the family's great fortune had been lent out to grandfather's children, and no one in this family was considered an adult until they had met with success in business. So this meeting literally was a conference. How much of the fortune was invested? What sort of business was conducted? How much profit was earned? As a result, how much of the fortune borrowed from the main family could be repaid? Or possibly, how much more would be borrowed for future business ventures? What lessons had they learned, and what could they learn from their mistakes? It seems that topics like these were discussed very seriously in the past. My dad said it was like lying on a bed of nails. Apparently, it used to be a very serious family meeting where people were bathed in scornful and angry voices. Some people even got slapped despite their age. However, that had become a thing of the past. Now, with everyone pursuing their own business ventures and achieving success, it was becoming more of a normal yearly get-together. Even so, telling grandfather about recent events was extremely stressful. So while it was nothing more than a simple get-together for us grandchildren, it was still a real stomachache for our parents. The absence of the man who was the source of all this trouble, regardless of the reason, probably made today's lunch taste much more delicious. The phrase, "while the demon is not around, everyone can relax," comes to mind. Anyway, let's introduce Jessica's father, whose face I haven't seen for 6 years. The man sitting to my father's left is his older brother and Jessica's father, Uncle... This name sure is easy to read. Kraus. Now that we've gotten used to this string of weird names, our perspective is totally skewed. So Kraus doesn't seem that bad. It even starts to sound kinda cool. Just like with Aunt Nazi, I didn't have many memories of speaking with Uncle Kraus. He had never been one to chat to children, and I felt like he was always talking with the adults, just like Aunt Nazi. According to my father's gossip, he was a spiteful and violent man. If what he said is true, Uncle Kraus used to be very domineering from his position as the oldest sibling, and was despised by all the other siblings. Though despite that, those siblings all seemed to be chatting happily together. Oh well, even if their relationship was bad when they were children, sometimes when people grow up and live apart from each other, their relationships change. That's probably what this was. After all, they all had children of about the same age. By sharing the same family environment, they probably profited by exchanging opinions. Maybe because of that, a short while ago, the circle of parents began to discuss the exams Jessica and I would be taking. Jessica, in order to escape questions about exams from my father on her left, purposefully faced right while firing off rapid series of comments, not giving him any chance to get a word in. Moving on, let's look at the end opposite from Kraus and the others. At the very last seat at the table, an old gentleman with a sturdy physique sat facing Kairi-san. This was my first time meeting him. I had only just been introduced to him, but it seems he's grandfather's personal doctor, a man called Nanjo. I heard he used to own a huge clinic on the nearby island of Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and began living a life of leisure in his old age. He had known grandfather since the very beginning, when the mansion was first constructed on this island, and had built up a relationship over several decades. I thought at first that the two of them might have gotten to know each other through grandfather's suspicious hobbies, but it seems he was actually grandfather's chess partner. I see. That kind of hobby seems very like our grandfather, what with his love of all things Western. Nanjo's probably the only person who could enter Rokkenjima despite being neither a family member nor a servant. He looked like a calm old gentleman as he listened to the discussion between Kairi and the other women who sat near him. Considering how long he stayed by the side of our short-tempered grandfather, his generous heart was probably nothing to laugh at. Still, even if he was a family doctor, having anyone outside the Ushirome family attend the family conference was a little odd. It made me think that grandfather's condition might have worsened so much it'd be a major topic of discussion at today's conference. After all, George said something like that just a second ago. Something about how we've been getting continuous reports since around last year that grandfather didn't have long to live. It's nasty to think about it, but considering how rich grandfather is, at the time of his death, his wealth will suddenly be released, probably along with a fair share of our parents' stomach acid. And it'll lead to ulcers for everyone. After all, this sort of thing just gets messier when there's more wealth to be divided. There's a good chance they'll be talking about stuff like that at the family conference. Still, it's not like it's got anything to do with us kids. Oh. Finally, even though he hasn't shown up yet, let me introduce our grandfather. The person who should be sitting in that seat, in that incipient's chair, is Ushiromia Kinzo. It really sucks. Everyone else in the family has these weird names, but he's got this perfectly normal one himself. If only his name were written Kinzo, but he let us call him Goldsmith or something, I'd totally freak out. Excuse me, I need a good drink. Okay. As you can probably guess by now, he's a frightening person with an extremely short temper. If one of his grandchildren, not a son, and I haven't seen him I'm one of his grandchildren, not a son, and I haven't seen him since elementary school. Thanks to that, I have no memory of being beaten myself, but our parents were apparently raised with an iron fist. That earlier conversation between my dad and Uncle Kraus about who should go convince grandfather to come down seems pretty damn funny once you know their background.